What you're putting into your body at this very moment could be silently sabotaging your connection to the divine. You don't notice it at first, but little by little, something inside you begins to dim. It's not your faith. It's not your discipline. It's something much more subtle. Your energy weakens, your intuition becomes clouded, and your soul starts to feel disconnected. While others eat mindlessly, you feel it, an inner discomfort, a kind of unease that you can't quite explain, as if something inside you is saying, this isn't for you, and you're right to listen. It's not paranoia. It's a sacred warning. Your body is no ordinary body. It is a temple, and when you belong to the chosen, that temple will not tolerate what dims the light. There are foods that have been altered with a dark purpose to prevent people like you from awakening. Yes, you, because it's in your blood, in your soul, in every cell, a mission that transcends this world. But if those foods block your energy, if they cloud your ability to feel, to see, to channel, how can you progress on your spiritual path? Haven't you wondered why, even after praying, meditating, or keeping your faith, you still feel limited? Why the connection you know should be there sometimes feels so distant? The answer isn't out there. It's in what you choose to put inside yourself. Now that you know what's happening within you, it's time to open your eyes to the root of the problem. I'm going to clearly reveal which foods are interfering with your energy field, how they do it, and what happens when you choose to eliminate them completely from your life. This isn't just about physical health. It's about reclaiming your power, your clarity, your purpose. And this is precisely where the first silent interference begins, one of the most common and yet most ignored: ultra-processed foods. They are one of the most silent forms of spiritual interference, made to survive on shelves, not to nourish life. Their energy is artificial, empty, soulless. Every time you consume a factory-made cookie, a box cereal, an energy drink, or a microwave-ready meal, you're introducing vibrations into your system that weren't created to honor your path, but to sedate you. In a body like yours, they don't just disturb the digestive system. They disrupt your auric field. They cloud the pineal gland, dull your intuition, fog your mind, and obscure the channel through which spirit whispers. You don't notice it right away. At first, it's just a bit of tiredness, a little confusion, but slowly, you begin to lose the clarity you once felt so strongly. The connection that once flowed now feels distant. It's not a lack of faith. It's vibrational pollution. You're receiving noise disguised as food. And when that noise accumulates, your soul starts to speak to you in the form of discomfort. Your body isn't sick. It's rejecting what does not belong. But since most don't understand this, they just accept it as part of everyday fatigue. You, however, have begun to awaken. And once awakened, you can no longer pretend to be blind. Your mind becomes more confused, your emotions more reactive, your ability to meditate, to remain present, slowly fades without you even noticing. It's as if your channel fills with static. You're there, but you don't feel, you don't receive, you don't flow, because that artificial energy blocks the natural movement of your soul. Many feel they are losing their faith, or that their spiritual practices no longer work as they used to. What they don't realize is that the sabotage is coming from within, from what they've accepted as normal. But when you choose to let go of what was made without life, everything begins to align. Your body detoxifies. Your energy is freed. The flow between you and the divine starts to feel real again. Not because you did something extra, but because you stopped blocking yourself. And that is the most sacred thing you can do for yourself. But not everything that poisons the soul comes in the form of salty or processed foods. Sometimes, what appears to be the sweetest is what disconnects us the most deeply. Refined sugar is another one of those elements that seems harmless, but acts like a veil over consciousness. Its sweetness is addictive because it stimulates a false sense of well-being. It gives you a quick burst of pleasure, and then leaves you in an invisible emotional crash that many label as anxiety, emptiness, or apathy. The most dangerous part isn't the high or the low. It's that On an energetic level, it trains you to disconnect from your true source of joy. Sugar teaches your soul to need something external to feel alive, and over time, you forget what it felt like to be whole without stimulation. You start looking for that spark in things that actually drain you. Instead of receiving light from within, you become dependent on what only mimics it. The anxiety that follows a processed dessert, the lack of motivation that shows up hours later, the mind that spins for no reason. These are not normal symptoms. They are spiritual responses. Your energy field isn't made to hold that vibration. Sweetness turns dark when it's artificial, because it doesn't come from the earth, from love, or from life. It comes from human design for control of the soul. When you cleanse your body of that residue, you don't just heal physically. Spiritually, something awakens. You start to feel like yourself again. You begin to rest deeply, to meditate without distractions. Your vibration shifts. Your energy field becomes clearer. Your emotional center more stable. Your intuition more alive. And your connection with the divine becomes so tangible, you can no longer ignore it. And that's when the miracle happens. You're no longer controlled by what you crave. You're guided by what you feel. And what you feel, when you're clean inside, is a voice of your soul reminding you that you've come home. And while sugar clouds the mind and heart, there's another silent enemy that densifies your energy and distorts your vibration without you even noticing. The fats you cook with, the oils you consume without thought, the ingredients hidden in what you buy for convenience. Not everything that's easy to digest is absorbed with purity. And you know this because you felt it. Industrial fats, those refined vegetable oils that promise lightness but carry energetic toxicity, are among the main saboteurs of your internal flow. They are present in almost everything designed to last rather than nourish. Fried foods, salty snacks, processed breads, commercial dressings. These chemically altered fats don't just affect your heart or liver. They affect your vibration. Your body, as a sacred temple it is, immediately recognizes when something goes against the natural order. And when you introduce these substances, your energy field begins to contract, not abruptly, but slowly and persistently. You become more irritable, more in your head, less receptive. It's as if your inner world grows heavier, less light. What once flowed effortlessly now becomes stuck. Ideas don't arrive. Meditation doesn't deepen. The connection to the subtle dissolves amid racing thoughts and sensations of fatigue. Because these fats, beyond the physical, distort your field. It permeates your being with a dull energy, a kind of invisible fog that wraps around your sensitivity. Your chakras become saturated. Your ability to perceive the spiritual slows down. And even though you continue your practices, something inside you feels more distant, less available. It's not that you've lost the gift. It's that you're suffocating it in a frequency that doesn't belong to it. Many of the chosen live in this contradiction without knowing it. They seek God while cooking with lifeless oils. They meditate while their blood is still processing what intoxicates them. They grow frustrated because they can't manifest, when the energy meant to drive them is being diverted by what they ate the night before. But when you choose to release these burdens, a shift occurs, one that goes beyond biology. Your mind becomes clear again. Your breathing deepens. Your channels open. You feel a lightness that doesn't come from digestion, but from the soul, as if suddenly the universe begins to speak to you again without interference. By letting go of these fats, you reclaim space within yourself. And when that space is clean, it becomes a portal, a place where the divine enters without resistance. However, there is something even more delicate. Foods that, although socially accepted as symbols of care and nourishment, actually carry an emotional weight so dense that it cannot be ignored by those who walk awake. Dairy products, when sourced from industrial origins, not only contain physically altered compositions, but also carry an energetic history that directly impacts your vibration. This is not about demonizing an ancestral food. It's about looking with new eyes at what has become the norm today. The milk that arrives on store shelves is no longer the same as a 1-1 share between the earth and humans in a respectful bond. Now it's full of hormones, antibiotics, and residues of fear and confinement. And you perceive it, even if you've never been able to fully explain it. After consuming industrial dairy, something feels different. A heaviness in the body, a fog in the mind, sometimes sadness, sometimes anxiety, sometimes a disconnection that arrives without reason. What you're feeling is not physical intolerance, it's energetic intolerance. Your body, like the antenna that it is, picks up on the emotional story of the food. And if that story is marked by the suffering of a being that lives in confinement and anguish, you absorb that too. That emotional weight doesn't dissolve with quick digestion. It stores itself in your vibrational field. And many times you mistake it for your own emotions. You carry guilt that isn't yours. You feel anguish you can't understand. You disconnect from your sender without knowing why. And without realizing it, you begin to vibrate in the frequency of the fear you consume without questioning it. You don't need to reject the entire history of milk. You simply need to look with awareness at what you're allowing inside. Because when your body is a temple, the vibration of the food matters just as much as its taste. Many chosen ones feel spiritually stagnant without knowing that their energy field is saturated with emotional residues of animal origin. And they don't discover this until, through intuition or guidance, they let go of industrial dairy. And then everything changes. It's not magic. It's vibrational coherence. And if that energetic weight is already dense in dairy, it multiplies when we talk about industrial meat, where fear, confinement, and pain are transformed into food, but also into blockage. This is not about whether or not you eat meat. It's about where it comes from and the energetic story it carries with it. Because what you're placing on your plate isn't just meat, it's memory. And if that meat was taken from a body that lived in fear, suffering, anxiety, and captivity, that's what you're bringing inside of you. Your soul cannot ignore it, even if your mind doesn't fully understand it yet. Animals destined for mass food production are not treated as living beings, but as numbers on a production line. They live surrounded by panic, separated from their young, with no contact with the earth, no sunlight, no freedom. And when that body is slaughtered, all that anguish becomes trapped in its tissues. That vibration doesn't disappear during cooking. It remains. And when it enters you, it becomes part of your emotional field. Then, without knowing why, you begin to feel more irritable, more impatient, less centered. Emotions arise from nowhere. You carry tension that isn't yours. And the worst part is that your spirit, instead of expanding, begins to close in to protect itself. Industrial meat does not only affect your digestion, it disrupts your connection with the divine. Its dense energy interferes with your intuitive processes, your visions, your ability to maintain inner peace. Every cell in you that vibrates in harmony with love rejects that vibration of death. And if you insist on integrating it, the conflict becomes internal, because there is no harmony between a soul that longs to rise and a food that drags pain. But when you decide to make the change, when you choose meat from conscious sources, or even choose to reduce its presence, something inside you begins to lighten. And it's not just your body, it's your soul breathing more deeply. You begin to notice that you sleep better, that your emotions are more stable, that there's less mental chaos. Your energy flows more gently. Your prayers feel more real. Your connection with your purpose becomes clearer. Because now, you're no longer carrying vibrations that don't belong to you. You're making space for what does belong in you. Light, wisdom, peace, divine order. And that, although few may understand it, is a sacred act of love, not just for the body, but for your mission. When a chosen one decides to free their body from these 5 food groups, what happens is not just a physical shift, it is an energetic transmutation. A silent alchemy begins to operate from within, and the veil that once separated world becomes so thin you can almost touch the invisible. The connection with your higher self, your guides, and the beings of light ceases to be sporadic or distant. It becomes natural, constant, crystalline. Manifestation is no longer a mental effort. It is a direct extension of your vibration. Your intention aligns with creation, and answers arrive before you even finish asking the questions. Accessing the Akashic records no longer requires complex techniques or altered states. They open before you like a familiar book, revealing truths that have always lived within. Solutions emerge without searching. Visions come without warning. And what you once called a miracle becomes part of the everyday. This path is not a diet. It is a ceremony, a daily reverence for the sacred temple you inhabit. Because when you choose to care for what you allow into your body, you're not performing an act of restriction. You are creating space for your soul to express itself freely. Now you know. You hold in your hands a map, a direct, organic, living path to activate all that already resides within you. So don't forget, everything begins on a plate, but ends in the soul. You are not giving up what you love. You are choosing what lifts you higher. And when you do that, everything else falls into place. Your health, your emotions, your path, your mission. Now is your time. Not to change out of fear, but to transform from love. Make every meal a prayer. Make every choice a confirmation of your worth. Your temple is waiting, and so is your soul. And when both are aligned, divinity begins to speak through you. Thank you for making it this far. If these words resonated with you, if at any point you felt this message was exactly what you needed to hear, don't ignore it. Your soul is guiding you. And if something within you stirred, it's because you're ready to begin living from a higher, cleaner, truer place. And if you'd like to keep receiving messages like this, I invite you to subscribe. This channel is not just a space for content. It's a space for transformation. A community of conscious souls who, like you, are choosing to awaken. See you in the next video. Until then, nurture your light, nurture your temple, nurture your soul.